Hello everyone. This week's article is quite special, being titled Evolutionary Development of the Human Thumb, published in the Hand Clinics of 1992 February, which was themed on thumb reconstruction. Written by Marzke, who was a pioneering anthropologist who studied the evolution of human hands over a career spanning more than 50 years. This article first examines the shared features of the human thumb with other present animals, especially the primates. Then it discusses some of the unique features of the human thumb, followed by some comments on the fossil findings of humanoid ancestors. Since these are not topics which are usually discussed within hand surgery circles, I've taken the liberty to use material from multiple other sources to illustrate the major points alluded to in this article. It is important to keep in mind that the human upper limb, with all its complex possibilities, is still reliant on the structural framework that it has in common with amphibians, reptiles, birds, and other mammals. This framework, along with having 5 rays in the hand, was established as early as 350 million years ago in our evolutionary history. As an example, a fossil lobe-finned fish of about 350 million years ago, named Euthanopteron, can be seen to have a 5-rayed distal part of its pectoral fin, along with a ray which would be the equivalent of the thumb. This pattern was then conserved across all land-dwelling elements. The thumb then came to be retained primarily in placental and marsupial species that needed to navigate slender branches of trees or the forest floor filled with roots, vines, and other small shrubs. These were situations where having parallel digits for grip would not be conducive for easy locomotion or other manipulation during feeding. Opposition of the thumb to the fingers is facilitated by a saddle joint at its base, but this is a structure which is quite common among animals. For example, as seen here in the common marsupial, the opossum. Among primates, the saddle joint structure of the first CMC joint is in fact the rule rather than the exception. As we can see from the articular surfaces of the trapezia of these extinct primates on the left and the existing primates like the capuchin monkey and the giant mouse lemur on the right. Even the relatively longer thumb of the human is not a unique feature. And this is measured in relation to the entire hand length. It may be a surprise to many that the ratio of many species like the baboon and the cebus would be in the nearabouts of the human proportion. Moving on to the unique features of the human thumb. The first to be discussed is the flexor pulsus longus muscle, which is entirely independent in humans from its origin till its insertion. In fact, the common situation, even among primates, is that the tendon to the thumb arises from a common muscle mass of the FTP, as seen here in the dwarf lemur, and then also as seen in the Sifata, another lemuroid species. And even in the closest relatives of man, the great apes, if we see in the orangutan specimen dissected here, the FPL is entirely absent. Interestingly, among the great apes, in the gibbon, the FPL may be entirely independent as a separate muscle and separate tendon. However, in this specimen, as is seen, there may be a small connection seen between the FPL and the FDP of the index finger, which as hand surgeons we all recognize would be the Limburg-Comstock anomaly that has been already described. Another unique human feature is the mass of the thenar muscles. In humans, this accounts for 39% of the entire intrinsic musculature in the hand. Or even in the gibbon, which had an independent FPL, but the thenar musculature accounts for only 33% of the intrinsic muscle mass. In our closest relatives, which are the chimpanzee and the gorilla, this is in fact only around 24. Other primates, it would be even lower. Another uniquely human feature is the structure of our distal phalanges, especially the distal phalanx of the thumb. The distal phalanges of the humans are characterized by widened tufts that serve as counter pressure during strong pinch. There are also prominent ungole spines, which are for the insertions of ligaments and septae, which anchor the pulp skin to prevent the shear stresses with strong pinch. As can be seen in the top row in this picture, even in the fossil hominoids, there is a distinct tendency for the tuft to widen and the ungole spines to get more prominent. As we have seen, the saddle configuration of the first CMC joint is not unique to humans. However, the human first CMC joint does have certain architectural specialties which are of great interest to hand surgeons. As we all know, the first CMC joint trapezial articular surface is convex from volar to dorsal and concave from radial to ulnar. And these both curvatures are in fact quite pronounced in humans, which translates to larger ranges of motion in both these planes in the human thumb. This illustration depicts a reconstructed trapezia along with its first metacarpal articular surfaces of the orangutan, the gorilla, the chimpanzee, and the modern human. And it is quite obvious that the joint surface of the humans appears to be much deeper. This is also accentuated by the fact that the ulnar quadrants of the human trapezial articular surface are proportionately larger than the rest of the great apes. This translates to fact that the thumb has a greater range of motion in adduction so that it is able to reach the small finger and even the ulnar aspect of the palm due to this larger area available in the ulnar aspect of the first CMC joint. All of this translates to better capability of the human thumb towards tool use. This illustration depicts what is called the pad grip or the side grip during tool use, and which as hand surgeons we would identify as what we commonly call as the key pinch. This illustration further depicts the three-jaw grip in the right hand, also called the baseball grip, and in the left hand, what anthropologists call the five-jaw grip or the cradle grip for holding large objects. Stone tools are known to have, in fact, improved over millennia, and they in turn influence the function of the human hand by molding it towards the requirements of making better and better tools. Increased manipulative behavior with the human hands influenced the brains to become larger as well. This increase in capacity is, of course, what eventually led to language and culture and science and the arts which are unique to our species. Primates like this baboon appear to use grips which are similar in posture to the ones employed by humans, but they fail to reproduce the strength of the human hand, especially that of the thumb. Apart from the independent FPL and the amount of thinner musculature, the strength of the thumb is also affected by its relative length to the rest of the fingers. In the other primates, where the thumb is shorter, the fingers have to flex fully for them to come in contact with the thumb, and which means that they are not able to exert any further pressure on any objects. In the humans, only a moderate amount of flexion is required for the finger pads to meet the thumb pulp, and therefore the extrinsic flexors can then apply further force on any object being manipulated. Fossil hand bones give us clues about how these unique human features may have come to develop. These fossils show that over the years there was a relative increase in the thumb so that they are longer than they are in the chimpanzee, which is our closest living relative, but not as long as that of the modern humans. There's also a distinct tendency in the first CMC to increase in area on the ulnar aspect, which is a feature of the modern first CMC joint. The distal phalanges also show a progression and increase in size and a progressive increase in the width of the tuft. The Neanderthals are considered our closest extinct relatives. They were in general more muscular and thick-set than modern humans, and even in their hand fossils, the muscle markings of the intrinsics are shown to be much more deeper and robust, which is seen even in the distal phalanx, which is relatively larger in them than in the modern humans. However, in the first CMC joint, they tend to have a relatively flat uh, articular surface as compared to the modern human. The author presents an interesting conjecture regarding the structure of the first CMC, that since it is more developed ulnarwards in modern humans, there would be greater stresses applied during strong pinch in this area, and therefore arthritis would tend to begin here. But a deeper curvature of the articular surface means that there would be lesser tendency to dislocate dorsally during strong pinch in modern humans. So overall, the human first CMC appears to be a compromise between these two problems as compared to our ancestors. In summary, our hands are thus a mosaic of patterns that are seen only in humans and patterns that are derived from our ancestors. It is the sum total of all of these features that make our hands uniquely human and so capable of modifying the world around us. Since we are almost at the end of the year, a huge thumbs up for all the ISSH members who have helped ISSH academics to become such a success throughout the year in 2022. This is Dr. Ajeesh Sankaran signing off on behalf of ISSH Academy.